Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are tackling a beast that I think pretty much every professional has wrestled with at some point. We're talking about how to use SWOT to make real strategic decisions. And I want to start with a scene. It's the morning after the annual strategy retreat.
Oh, the dreaded morning after. I know it well.
You know the one. You walk out, maybe it's a Friday afternoon. The whiteboard is just this work of art, neon, sticky notes everywhere. You've got that caffeine buzz going. The team feels totally aligned.
And you're holding that thick binder.
Yes, the thick binder labeled Strategic Initiatives 2025. And you feel like, you've actually done something important.
It's the strategy retreat high.
Yeah.
It's a very real chemical state.
It really is. But then fast forward, 3 months? That binder, it's basically a coaster on your desk.
Or it's a PDF in a folder somewhere that no one's clicked on since that day.
Exactly. The initiatives have been completely swallowed by the daily grind. The urgent has, once again, just pushed out the important.
And that is the classic strategic hangover. But here's the real tragedy of it. Most people think this happens because their team isn't working hard enough.
Right. They think, we lack discipline or we're just bad at execution.
But usually, it's not a failure of effort. It's actually a failure of the tools, specifically how we use, or let's be honest, misuse, the SWOT analysis.
Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I mean, it's like the first thing they teach you in business school. But most of the time, it just feels like we're filling in boxes.
We are. We treat it as a brain dump. We get in a room and just list things, and it becomes what we call the laundry list trap.
Okay, what's that?
You end up with a whiteboard where, the printer on the second floor is broken, is written right next to global economic recession.
Right. One is a maintenance ticket, and the other is an existential threat. But on the board, they kind of look the same.
They look equal. And that prioritization of quantity over quality is deadly. There's this famous research from Kaplan and Norton showing that 90% of organizations fail to execute their strategies.
90%, that's staggering.
It is. I mean, think about a company like Intel. For years, undisputed kings. But a failure to really execute on their strategic analysis, missing the shift to mobile, kind of being late to the AI boom, that contributed to their stock value dropping from 80% market share to 60% over a decade.
Wow.
That's the real cost of the execution gap.
So, our mission today is to close that gap. We need to move SWOT from being, a descriptive exercise to a prescriptive engine, something that actually tells you what to do.
I like to use a medical analogy for this. A descriptive approach is like going to the doctor and they say, well, you're tired, your throat hurts, and you have a fever.
Which is not helpful. I knew all that when I walked in the door. I need the cure.
Exactly. But that's most SWOT analyses. We have good service, but our software is old.
Okay.
All right, so what? A prescriptive approach is the doctor saying, you have a bacterial infection. Here's the specific antibiotic you need to take. Strategy has to prescribe a cure, not just list the symptoms.
So how do we actually do that? I guess phase 1 has to be just framing the challenge itself. You can't just walk in and ask, so how are we doing?
No, because if you ask a generic question like, what's our situation? You get generic answers. And that leads to that boardroom dynamic we all hate.
Let me guess. The hey PPO effect.
A highest paid person's opinion. That's the one. If the meeting is unstructured, the most senior person just anchors the whole discussion and everyone else just nods.
There's that painful Yahoo example from, 2002? Terry Semel, the CEO, had a chance to buy Google for $1 billion.
$1 billion. Seems like a bargain now, doesn't it?
Just a bit. But Semel saw Yahoo as a media company, not a tech company. He just didn't see the value in the search algorithm. And because he was the HIPPO, his view won. They passed.
And now Google is worth nearly $2 trillion.
Yeah.
That's a huge lesson in why you need structure. So to avoid that, you have to frame a specific challenge question.
So instead of how are we doing, you ask.
You ask, how do we regain the 15% market share we lost to our new low-price competitor?
That immediately focuses the entire conversation. But you also need to set some boundaries, right? We call this the strategic context pyramid.
Correct. You have to define 3 things before you even start. First, your unit of analysis. Are we talking about the whole company or just one product line? Second, the strategic horizon. Is this for the next 6 months or the next 5 years?
Because AI regulation is a huge 5-year threat, but it's totally irrelevant to next quarter's sales numbers.
Exactly. And the third is just your definition of success. What does winning actually look like? Once you have that frame, you have to pick who's in the room.
And it can't be all the same people. Groupthink is the enemy here.
It is. Inclusive teams make better decisions 87% of the time. You need the ground truth people. So invite the customer support rep who gets yelled at every day. Invite the sales rep who keeps losing deals to that new competitor.
They know what's really going on.
Way better than the VPs do.
Okay, so we've framed the challenge, we've got the right people, now we're in phase 2. Auditing reality. This feels like where most people get tripped up, mixing up the internal and the external.
This is the biggest point of failure. We tend to list things we hope are true. The comforting illusion, right? So to cut through that, we use something called the control test.
I love this model. Walk us through it.
You ask one simple but brutal question for every single item on your list. If we fired everyone and closed the office tomorrow, would this factor still exist?
Ooh, that is a harsh filter.
But it's so clarifying. If the answer is yes, if it still exists without you, it's external, an opportunity or a threat. You can't control it.
And if the answer is no?
If it disappears when you do, it's internal,
Yeah.
a strength or a weakness. You have agency over that.
Okay, let's apply it. Let's take high customer demand. Most companies would list that under strengths. We have strong demand.
Right. But apply the test. If your company vanishes, does the demand disappear?
No, of course not. The customers just go buy from someone else.
Exactly. So high demand is an external opportunity. Your ability to capture that demand, your marketing, your product, that might be a strength.
It seems like a small distinction, but getting it wrong can be disastrous. There was that restaurant chain, Apita.
Yes. They were facing high inflation. So they listed inflation in their SWOT as a weakness.
An internal factor.
Right. And because they saw it as a weakness, they tried to fix it internally. They started cutting the quality of their ingredients to keep prices down.
Which, of course, destroyed their brand.
Completely. If they had correctly identified inflation as an external threat, something they can't control, they would have looked for an internal strength to fight it, like their premium brand positioning. You can't fix the weather, you just have to build a better roof.
So separate what you control from what you can't. And you also have to be ruthless about evidence. No fluff.
No fluff allowed. You can't write good service. That's banned. You have to write, our net promoter score is 15 points below the industry average. Every strength and weakness needs a number.
There's another trap on the external side, right? Mixing up the opportunity with the strategy.
Happens all the time. People will say, our opportunity is to launch an app. No. Launch an app is a strategy. The opportunities is mobile adoption in our target market is up 50%.
It's like the old railroad industry example.
The classic case.
Yeah.
They thought they were in the train business. They completely missed the external threat of cars and airplanes because they didn't realize they were in the transportation business.
Okay, so we've audited reality, we've got our ingredients. Now phase 3, strategic pairing. We call this the kitchen.
Right. Phases 1 and 2 were just stocking the pantry. And you can't eat a list of ingredients for dinner. Now you actually have to cook the meal.
And the cooking happens where things intersect. You don't just look at the lists in their own little boxes.
Now, strategy happens where the internal factors collide with the external factors. You have to pair them up. And this creates 4 strategic zones.
Let's break those down. First one is leverage.
That's your strength plus an opportunity. This is your offense zone. How do you use what you're great at to capture growth?
Okay, then there's defense.
That's a strength plus a threat. So you're using your assets to block a risk. Like a software company bundling its exclusive training content, a strength to crush a low-cost competitor, which is the threat.
Makes sense. Then we have constraints. That's a weakness plus an opportunity.
This is the fix-it zone. So a retail chain sees an opportunity for same-day delivery, but their inventory tech is ancient. That's a weakness. The strategy isn't just upgrade IT, it's upgrade IT specifically to enable this opportunity.
And the last one, the scary one, vulnerabilities. Weakness plus a threat.
The danger zone. This is pure survival mode. If your company has high debt, a weakness, and interest rates are rising, a threat, you need to act immediately.
So in this phase, you're just generating tons of ideas, right? The option cloud.
Yes, this is divergent thinking. Get it all out there. You're writing recipes. And the key is to use active verbs, not better training, but launch a mentorship program for new engineers.
But now we've got the opposite problem. A whiteboard full of great ideas, but you can't possibly do them all. Which brings us to phase 4, converting insights to commitments.
This is a great filter. I mean, strategy is really about what you decide not to do. So now we switch to convergent thinking.
And for that, we use the impact effort matrix.
It's a classic, but we use it to kill ideas.
Yeah.
We've got 4 quadrants: quick wins, high impact, low effort, do these now, then major bets, high impact, high effort. You could probably only handle 2 or 3 of these max.
And then there are the quadrants you need to get rid of.
Right. Time wasters, low impact, high effort. These are usually vanity projects. Kill them. And distractions, low impact, low effort. This is the snacking of business. Tweaking logos, endless internal emails. Just get rid of them.
I remember that case study of the manufacturing company. They started with something like 20 ideas.
And they killed 17 of them. They realized repaving the parking lot was a distraction. A big CRM overhaul was a time waster because the payoff was too far away. They kept only 3 initiatives. That is focus.
And once you have those 3, you have to assign them. We talk about the single-threaded owner.
This is a concept from Amazon. It's about moving from "we should do this" to "I will do this." One person's name is on it. They're the one who wakes up at 3 a.m. worrying about that one thing.
Because if everyone owns it, nobody owns it.
Exactly. And you formalize this with a simple commitment charter. Single owner, measurable outcome, specific deadline, resources needed, and this is my favorite part, a first 48-hour action. What are you doing tomorrow?
But here's the kicker. You can't just pile this on top of everyone's existing work. You need a not-to-do list.
You have to finance your strategy with time and focus. You do that by killing zombie projects. The things shuffling around your company, they're basically already dead, but are still eating up resources.
The example of that professional services firm was so powerful.
Wasn't it? They fired their bottom 15% of clients. They realized these clients brought in only 4% of their revenue, but took up 30% of their team's time.
That's insane.
So by firing them, by putting them on the not-to-do list, they freed up a third of their capacity to go after their major bet, which was high-value consulting.
That takes some serious guts, but it makes perfect sense. You can't put new clothes in a closet that's already full.
You can't.
Okay, so we have a plan, we have owners, we've cleared the deck, but we all know the drift happens, so the final step, phase 5, is making strategy a habit.
Strategy rots if it's a one-time event. You absolutely need a quarterly strategic pulse.
And how's that different from, a standard quarterly business review?
An operational meeting asks, are we doing the work right? A strategic pulse meeting asks, are we doing the right work? You meet for just 90 minutes every 90 days to check your core assumptions.
The assumption audit, because the world changes fast.
You're looking for red flags. When does an opportunity you were chasing suddenly become a threat? Look at the difference between Nebula Tech and Heritage Retail. Heritage kept opening new stores because that was the plan, even as online shopping was exploding. They ignored the red flags.
That's a sunk cost strategy.
Totally. Whereas Nebula Tech saw their enterprise sales cycle was doubling, a huge red flag. They pivoted to a self-serve model for small businesses. They admitted their data had expired. You have to treat your strategy like a carton of milk, not a diamond. You have to check the expiration date.
And to get that data, you can't just be in the boardroom. You need what you call the scout mindset.
You have to democratize strategy. Your frontline, your support team, your sales team, they know the truth first. Just ask them 4 simple questions regularly. A micro SWOT.
What are they?
1. Threat scan. Why did we lose a sale this week? 2. Opportunity scan. What do customers keep asking for that we say no to? 3. Fiction check. What's slow or hard inside our own company? And 4. Competitor check. Who are customers talking about besides us?
It's incredible what you can learn when you just ask the scouts on the ground.
A customer support rep can tell you more about your market in 5 minutes than a $50,000 market research report can in 5 months.
So let's recap this whole journey. It is a long way from a dusty binder on a shelf.
It really is. You frame a sharp challenge question. You audit reality with a control test. You pair those factors in the kitchen to generate real options. Then you filter them ruthlessly with the impact effort matrix, assign single owners, and then you review it all every single quarter.
It sounds like a lot of work, but it also sounds like less work than just spinning your wheels with no direction.
That's the great irony. Bad strategy is completely exhausting. Good strategy is actually liberating because it tells you all the things you get to ignore.
So what's the final thought here? What should someone listening right now take away from all this?
That strategy is not a document. It's not a binder. It's a way of seeing the world. It is the constant living discipline of aligning your internal power with the external reality.
Okay, so here's your call to action.
Yeah.
Don't wait for next year's big off-site retreat.
Please don't. Just look at your calendar right now. Find a date 3 months from today. Block out 2 hours. And just label it Quarterly Strategic Pulse. Even if you haven't done the whole plan yet, just putting that placeholder there changes your mindset.
It says you're going to stop and look up from the grind.
Exactly.
I'm going to go do that right now. This has been a huge unpack of a really dense topic, but hopefully your next SWOT analysis will never be a laundry list again.
No more broken printers on the strategy board.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.